Hello guys, so this is your ophthalmology guru Dr. Neha Agrawal and I'll be talking about the INI-CET ophthalmology questions. Which of the following are used for the diagnosis of fixed dilated pupil? Now this is a very simple question that we discussed in the flowchart of an isochoria. The only problem is I think there was some problem. The two options were same or with the pilocarpine, or they were not showing some concentration, but as a common sense we have taken the two concentration 1% and 0.1%. So let's discuss that chart and then we will come back. Okay, because I am more interested in telling you about the details of the anisocoria, how to go about it, because certainly it is an important topic and I am actually expecting one question from there. So let's get started. If the patient is having anisocoria, okay, if the patient is having anisocoria, now first of all, what do you mean by anisocoria? If there is a difference of more than or equal to 0.4 mm between the two pupils. If the two pupils are differing in size by 0.4 or more, then we can say that this patient is having anisocoria. So even the definition itself is important. Now how to interpret it? You have to see that whether this anisocoria is increasing in the dark conditions or whether this anisocoria is increasing in the lighted condition. Okay, so you have to see this one by one. So first see if it is increasing in the light. Anisocoria increasing in light, so that means that the normal pupil is constricting when it is facing the light, but the one which is abnormal is not constricting. So when there is anisocoria and the light is shown, the normal one is even more constricting and the abnormal one is not constricting. Obviously this will increase the difference in the size and we will have more of anisocoria. So what is the next thing that you should do? You have to look for the ocular motility. So this will also help you in getting your clinical processing done. In some questions, you know, we have comprehension analysis type of questions, clinical based questions. So in the comprehension and analysis type of questions, you have to see what are the next questions you are going to ask. So look for the ocular motility. If the ocular motility is abnormal, then we are suspecting the third nerve palsy. Okay, because you know that all are supplied by third nerve except for SO4 and LR6. So we are suspecting the third nerve palsy. Now if I am having the normal ocular motility, then I have to see the shape of the pupil. Then look at the shape of the pupil. Okay, now again we have got two options, whether it is normal or whether it is abnormal. So if I have abnormal shape, okay, if the pupillary shape is abnormal, then I will suspect the iris damage. So we can have trauma, surgical trauma or blunt trauma, due to which the iris damage is there. But if you still have the normal shape of the pupil, now what you are going to do? Now if you have the normal shape of the pupil, then you give the 0.125% pilocarpine. So this is the first concentration, see, that I am using here. This is 0.1%, 0.125% pilocarpine. This is very diluted form. So this is very diluted form of pilocarpine. So when you give this pilocarpine, there are only two options. Either the pupil constricts, or it is showing no constriction. Okay, so if the pupil is constricting, then the diagnosis is very clear. Then it is the Adie's tonic pupil. Adie's tonic pupil. Then this is very clear, because you know in the Adie's tonic pupil we have got a lesion in the lesion in the ciliary ganglion. So because you have a lesion in the ciliary ganglion, okay, so we have got what you called as the denervation sensitivity, and therefore it is the only type of pupil which is constricting with such a diluted version of pilocarpine which is there. Okay, now suppose it is not showing the constriction. So if the pupil is not showing the constriction, then you give the 1% pilocarpine. Okay, then we give the 1% pilocarpine. So this should be the second dosage of pilocarpine that have been used in the question. Now again there are two possibilities. Now you get the constriction or not. So if the constriction, look for the constriction now. So if you have the constriction present now, again it can be a case of third nerve palsy. But if it is absent, it is not even constricting with a 1% pilocarpine, that means it is a case of the pharmacological blockade. Pharmacological blockade. So see, we have got so many things which have come out here, whether it is a case of the edystonic pupil or pharmacological block, or it's a third nerve palsy, or it's a iris damage, and what are the concentrations of the pilocarpine that you can be using. Okay, now the second option, if you look here, second thing was that if the anisocoria is increasing in the dark, then what is there? So if it is increasing in the dark, this means two things. That means the normal one is dilating, normal pupil is dilated, but the abnormal is showing no dilatation. Now abnormal is not showing any dilatation, that means the problem will be in the dilator pupillae. What is the dilator pupillae muscle? Dilator pupillae muscle is the muscle responsible for the dilatation of pupil, and this is actually supplied by the sympathetic supply. This is supplied by the sympathetic supply, and this sympathetic supply is inhibited, it is paralyzed in the Horner syndrome. Therefore, in this person, we are suspecting the Horner syndrome. So, another important thing, this question was also asked in your AIIMS June 2020, that there was an anisocoria that was increasing in the dark conditions. Why? Because it is a oculosympathetic palsy. This is a oculosympathetic palsy, and therefore, we are suspecting the Horner syndrome here. Now, what are the things that you should look for? So, you should look for the ptosis also, then you should look for the dilatation lag also, then you will further come to know that this is a case of Horner syndrome only. Now, what are the things that you should do to confirm it? So, in order to confirm the Horner syndrome, we can use the 1% apraclonidine. Okay. Either I can use 1% apraclonidine or I can use 4% cocaine, okay, or I can use the 4% cocaine. So 4% cocaine is also given in the options, and pilocarpine, two options were also given, most probably 0.1 and 1%. Now, which of the following should be used and why? So basically, if you see, this apraclonidine is preferred. Apraclonidine is preferred. There are two reasons for it. Ek to, it is not an abusive substance, and secondly, it is showing a positive response in Horner syndrome. So if I give this apraclonidine, okay, what you will do, then you look for the dilatation. So if it is a normal pupil, there will be no dilatation, while if it is a Horner syndrome, the dilatation will be present. So due to these two reasons, we are preferring this 1% apraclonidine because it is showing a positive response in the affected eye, and secondly, it is not having any substance abuse. But the problem is that this 1% apraclonidine is actually contraindicated in the infants. You cannot use this drug in the infants. If you remember, this happens with the brimonidine also, that is also a CNS depressant. Here this is contraindicated because of the respiratory depression. So if I am having the infant and I have to check this, then in that case I will be using this 4% cocaine only. Now once you have confirmed the Horner syndrome, then you can give 1% amphetamine. Okay, so 1% amphetamine now they are giving, and what it is going to do, you can now demarcate that whether this Horner syndrome is pre-ganglionic or it is post-ganglionic, whether it is pre-ganglionic or post-ganglionic. So in pre-ganglionic, the dilatation will be present, while in the post-ganglionic, no dilatation. There will be no dilatation. So this is the total, flow chart through which you are able to solve any abnormal pupillary reaction from here. You also know the agents, then which of the following are used, and what is the, definitive interpretation if you are using them. Now what they have asked is pretty simple. They have just asked that which of the following is used for the diagnosis of the dilated pupil. So if you look here, pilocarpine. So if I have a dilated pupil, I can use this pilocarpine 1%, I can use this pilocarpine 0.1% also. Okay, but I will not use the adrenaline or phenylephrine. Why should I use them? Because phenylephrine is just a it is just a Mydriatic. It is just a Mydriatic, and there is no cycloplegia. There is no cycloplegia here. So I do not have any cycloplegia. So this is a Mydriatic. Now already we have a dilated pupil which is fixed. So you will not use phenylephrine. Phenylephrine we are using for the retinoscopy. If I want to do the retinoscopy, and that too in the patients who are more than 60 years of age, because those people have already ciliary muscle weakening and aging is there, so I don't want to paralyze, maybe it will not gain back its tone. That is why we are preferring this phenylephrine to be used after 60 years of age. Then we have adrenaline. Adrenaline is a sympathetic supply, so this will further dilate, so this will also act as a Mydriatic, so obviously there is no use. Okay, now as far as the cocaine is concerned, so again there is no use of using cocaine here. So we have got two options, right? Which of the following will be used for the diagnosis of a fixed and dilated pupil? I want to constrict it and see whether it is constricting with 0.1 to 5%. If it is constricting, then it is the edystonic pupil. If it is not constricting, then we will try with the 1%. So both of the answers are right. So answer will be the A and E. So now in both the chances, if the concentration was given, then also both the pilocarpines answers are correct. If the options were not containing the concentration, then also again both the options are correct because both were same. So answer will be A and E.